Welcome to Inspired Artist Podcast with me, Porter Singer. In this episode, I get to speak with Mikey Pauker. This is his first time on the podcast, and really our first time having a conversation at length. We've crossed paths at festivals, and I've been aware of him for a while, but this is the first opportunity that we've had to sit down and have a long chat about what he's up to. And what he's up to is extremely exciting. So I was delighted, actually, more so than I thought I would be. Even though I was excited to talk to him in the first place, I was just surprised and delighted by our conversation and what he has up his sleeves beyond my wildest dreams. Mikey Pauker is a devotional rock artist from Laguna Beach, California, and has been described by Time magazine as one of the 10 stars of the new Jewish music. He grew up in Orange County, and Mikey's early experiences at underground shows exposed him to the intense primal energy of live music, as well as the strong community bonds that form in an authentic and close-knit scene. Inspired by teachers who blend yoga and mystical practices, he went to study in Jerusalem, soaking up the hidden techniques of his ancestral lineage. These spiritual dimensions guided his artistic development as he explored ecstatic music festivals and mystical religious traditions. His music implores us all to look within, sit with our darkness, and transform it into light. Ooh, that gave me goosebumps. Mikey's sound blends elements of folk, reggae, and hip-hop, incorporating English and Hebrew roots into his devotional songwriting. His music draws from influences such as Bob Marley, Van Morrison, and The Police. And in this episode, we talk about a lot of things. We talk a lot about the artists that he is, sort of gathering onto his label and how he got started with that, his coaching business and his experience of being coached. Really interesting conversation, and I'm excited for you to listen to it. So here we go.
Hey, how's it going?
It's nice to have you here.
Yeah, thanks so much. I'm grateful to be here today. And it's funny, I was talking to a few friends, and it seems like you're making your rounds to a few of my other musician friends saying that they just did interviews with you. So it's nice to be here.
Okay, cool. Who?
Theo Grace and Theo.
Oh.
Yeah, he's releasing his new single on my record label tomorrow. So
Cool.
yeah, it's exciting. It's cool to see that you got a good ear for music, I guess, if you contacted him. So
Yeah. How did I discovered him, I think, through DTO. Because they did a
okay.
track together, and I was like, oh, I wonder what yeah. When you
Dave Kemp.
say your record label, it's the record label you're on, or you have your own label?
Yeah, so this year I just launched a brand new record label. I'm the CEO and A&R for. Yeah.
Ooh, that's
Um,
fun.
yeah, it's called Beautiful Way Records. It is inspired by a Dene teaching to be in equanimity and balance with all of the elements, with your relationship to spirit and self, our ancestors. Um, and I was for a while trying to figure out like a good name for it, and originally came up with the word it's going to call it Lev Records. In Hebrew, Lev means heart. But as I was like kind of like out there showing it to different friends, they were like, the people who weren't Jewish were kind of like, Lev, like what is that? So it was interesting. I was actually at a music festival in Santa Fe, outside of Santa Fe, New Mexico, called Tribal Visions. And I was there on the last night. It was Rosh Hashanah, which is the Jewish New Year. And I got invited to sit in a teepee with two indigenous men. One, his name is Sleepy Eye, who's a Seneca Lakota roadman. And the other is Uncle Ron, who's a Dene medicine man, who puts on ceremonies, and he worked with a lot of indigenous First Nations peoples. And so after spending like a weekend with him and learning about Beautiful Way, which is from the Dene way, the Dene tribe, which, by the way, a lot of people in America, we would just say Navajo. But what I learned from him is that Dene is what he actually, like, that's what this tribe wants people to call them. They're actually called Dene. So we were talking about business and all these things, and I was like, what if we called it Beautiful Way Records? Is that okay? Like, you know, because I'm not indigenous. And as my medicine teacher, he said, like, you have permission to use that because because the focus of this label is to really acknowledge devotional music in all the ways. Like, you know, like I'm a Jewish musician and that's great. But like the second single that we released was a Hanuman Chalisa by Victoria Angelheart with Benji Wertheimer, you know, from Chant and produced by Ben Lineback. So, and like a Ramdas Maharaji chant. So for me, I'm just like interested in like really bringing together all that different medicine music from all the different faiths and focusing on all the live aspects of it. So the reason I'm working with Theo or Antheo is this is his first ever acoustic medicine music releases because he's usually like that ambient down tempo kind of music. So for him, this is like a turn in his career. So yeah, I'm excited tomorrow for everyone to hear what's going on with him.
Cool.
Yeah,
Cool. Yeah, and by the time this comes out, because this will come out next week,
yeah.
it'll be now at the time that you hear this.
Go
Um,
listen to it.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It'll be out. So what's the name of the single again?
So the name of his single is called Present Moment.
Okay.
And
Oh,
yeah,
I just saw him talking about it actually today on Instagram.
yeah. So it's exciting, you know, I know it's new territory for him. And um, it was all really by the grace of creator that this even happened. Like, he messaged me because he heard that I started this label. And, you know, as like a label uh, owner, when people find out, everybody, you know, I'm getting hundreds of messages from different artists around the world. And, you know, you start to listen, you get kind of discouraged. You're like, oh God. But you know, but it's great, you know, I love all music, but not everything is the best fit. And when I heard this, I was just like, I literally called him. I was like, what's your number? I called him and like left a long message, like, you know, I know you don't know me and I don't know you, but I need to work with you. This is really good. So yeah, I just can't wait for more people to hear what I've been geeking out on and listening to for the past couple of months.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
So how did you come to be a label?
You know, I've been an independent musician myself, and I've worked with a lot of labels, kind of doing like licensing deals over the years.
Mhm.
And you know, I've been doing a touring musician, songwriter for, you know, well over a decade. And I have all this new music that I want to put out that's kind of like medicine, rock music, and um, I submitted to a bunch of different labels myself in the past couple of years, like Elektra Records, submitted my music to like other major ones. And I just got a lot of no's. You know, people were like, I don't really know what to do with this because it's like spiritual, but it's, you know, and I even got flown out to Nashville last year because the Christian rock movement was interested in kind of bringing me into even though I do Jewish music, and it just wasn't resonant for them.
Huh.
So this last summer, I was on tour, just finished playing Unison, and I'm sitting there at my friend Yoshi's house. He's the guy who puts on Hanuman Festival. It's a great yoga festival in Boulder, and I'm just sitting there in his basement, just like thinking about my life. And I call a really good friend of mine up on the phone, who his name is Nate Stein. He goes by the DJ name Quantimus, and he
Oh,
started
okay.
High Vibe Records, which um, you know, that it's really funny because, like, you know, we were going on tour before the pandemic, before his label, and I know Nate were like as like a close brother in my life, and we've always been allies. But his label High Vibe, they're really focusing on the electronic space, hip hop, electronic, down tempo, house. And I've released some remixes with him, but like my rock folk music doesn't really fit with
Mhm.
his label. So I said to him, hey, would you want to put out these new singles? And he's like, hey, I love you, Mikey. You know, you're my homie, but no. I'm like, well, what if I started a label under your company? You know, what if and he was like, that's crazy. You just said that because I'm looking to do exactly that. And within a week, you know, with my attorney, we were able to draft up an agreement. And so now essentially Beautiful Way Records, you call it an imprint. So under the umbrella of High Vibe Records, which they're going to be branching out into other labels. They have a hip hop label now. I'm the devotional folk, rock, reggae, and world and chant branch of that. And so with that, what that looks like is I partner with them. All my artists are a part of Symphonic as our distributor. They are my back end essentially. So Corey, who works for them, now collaborates with me. I have an administrator, and we work together as, you know, as I sign different artists. High Vibe Records also is a part of that deal because they're supporting in all the ways that they provide their services, in addition to what I'm doing, which the way I'm looking at Beautiful Way Records is I really love telling narratives and sharing. I really love finding like a really great story of an artist. You know, why did you write that? And trying to help them tell that story. And I love podcasts. I love press. So what I provide my artists is, you know, press release support and shopping those stories to editorials and all that kind of stuff. And a lot of, I wouldn't say a lot of labels don't, but it's not very common. That it would be like an artist would sign with the label and then they would hire a publicist who would come in and do that. So one of the services I provide is like in-house publicists for my artists, in addition to other services. So I'm looking at this in a new way, and I feel like the genre of medicine music is becoming, I mean, it's religious and spiritual music has been out there for a long time, but this certain niche of medicine music, it's becoming really popular. But there's no one, there's a few different people in the industry that are representing artists right now, but it's catching on like wildfire everywhere. You know, like right now during this interview, there's how many people in Envison? Like 100,000 people geeking out to Equanimous and Ruby Chase and Rising Appalachia, like and Dirtwater. Like right now, that's happening. Thousands and thousands of people. And how many sacred music festivals are there in the world? And how many fans listen to chant or Kundalini music, like your beautiful music? It's like Bhakti Fest. It's like, it's unlimited. And so we need more people who want to help guide and support this really special sacred music getting out in a really good way. And I feel like I love performing and I love going out and sharing my music, but I feel like another big reason that I'm here is to support artists who are on the creative journey and help them get their narrative out there so we can affect world change and healing through the narratives of these songs.
That's quite a mission. I love it.
Yeah. You know, but the crazy thing about the whole thing too, it's like I've been in the Jewish music world, kind of like you've been in the Kundalini world. And something that happened as of very recently, this year I got nominated to join the Recording Academy. And so now I'm a voting member. And what I did with a friend of mine is Joni Leeds. She won a Grammy for Best Children's Record a few years ago.
Okay.
She collaborated with Lisa Loeb on the record. It was all female, produced all females. It was called All the Ladies. So we connected on Clubhouse a couple of years ago, and I said to her, I was like, we need to make a Jewish music Grammy because there's like multiple Christian rock ones and there's chant ones, but why isn't there a Jewish music one? So we went into it and we worked for a really long time. And as of yesterday, we proposed that officially to the Recording Academy to start a Jewish music category. And within the past week, we started a petition. We have over 2,000 signatures on it. And we've been being written up in all these different Jewish publications. And I have like, it's crazy, like all the interviews and all the journalists contacting me from around the world right now. And they're talking about Beautiful Way Records, you know, as an aspect of that. So it's like right now, this interview, it's happening in a time that I've gotten probably more press in my entire life in the past week than I have even from my releases. And I feel like my goal and my role, I'm seeing that like I love performing, I love praying, but I just want to help artists, Jewish artists, Hindu artists, you know, every faith, any faith-based artist find a way to expose them to more people, because I know this music is healing. And I just want to help support their lives. So, and at the same time too, it's like artists, we're starving until one day we're thriving. So the best I could do to help people make a buck or two in the way would be really great. So that's a little bit about what I'm up to right now. And thanks for letting me share.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And if you have anything else you wanted to say about that and you think of it later, just let me know.
Yeah.
So I'm so curious about like so I saw that actually the article, I think you shared it somewhere that I looked, but the article about the Jewish Grammy category, super cool, because I was just involved in a small way, but involved with like Dave Stringer and Sean Johnson and off the mat and into
Oracle.
Suzanne Sterling. Yes, the Oracle project. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and they got the Chant, they got the, what is it, the new age category changed to Chant ambient new age, or new age ambient, whatever it was. Um, and and that's super cool. So yeah, I'm really excited to see how that turns out.
Yeah, we've been in touch with, like, I just called Dave yesterday, and that's part of what it's like when you're in a organization. Uh, we get to support each other, and a
Yeah,
big, like, one of the main categories that like I vote in is the new age category.
right,
So just because I support a Jewish music category doesn't mean that I don't vote for others as well.
right,
And it's been really nice to build the alliance with Sean and Dave and like other new age artists, and because we're all really actually just fighting the same battle. We're all fighting for inclusion,
right.
spiritual inclusion. And in this day and age, like, Christian music has dominated the American world and around the world. And it's like, yeah, I love Christian rock music. I listen to that too. But like, if we're really talking about spirituality, we need to make room for everybody to share their connection to Creator.
Mm.
So that's what I hope that this Grammy category will do. Like, I hope they will be a Hindi, uh, Hindu or a Islamic category, a Sufi category. Like, who knows about the diversity that can happen? So yeah, let's just more diversity is our goal for everyone.
Oh, I like that. Yeah. One of the things that I find really interesting in my own like inability slash ability, I guess, to categorize myself is like when you submit something to a playlist on Spotify and they ask you what genre you're in. I never know what I don't know what most of the genres mean, first off, but there's no like spiritual category that's not Christian, like you were saying. There's no medicine music category. There's no like I don't know, positive self-love or whatever. I don't even think sometimes I think there is new age, but I don't really think of my music as new age. Um when I was listening to your music though, because I was refreshing my memory trying to get, oh, and I want to talk to you about that too. Um, like that that seems like I hear a category for that. Like that it's even like beyond the message, because I think that so much of the genres have to not really have to do with the message so much. They have to do with the sound of the music. Like if it's rock, it's rock, and maybe if it's Christian rock, it's Christian rock. But besides that, we're not talking about like I don't know if it's a love song or like a song about your truck. Like it doesn't really matter. It's either rock or folk or whatever it is, punk. Um, but when you're dealing with like medicine music, like you were talking about, I feel like the message is a huge component in the actual genre. Is this making sense?
Yeah, totally. 100%. I mean, I think that people think of category by genre, but sometimes it's really about the continuity of theme.
Hmm.
I think that's what we're talking about. Like,
Yeah.
for instance, Joni, when she won the Grammy, children's music. Well, it's what does children's music sound like?
Right,
Right? There's
right,
folk, there's rock,
right.
there's reggae, there's hip hop, right? So it's not about um the genre there. It is about a theme. And that's the same thing with Judaism, because when you are a Jewish artist, and you submit your music, there's no category for it on Spotify.
Mhm.
And if you use Hebrew, like sometimes you can put Hebrew and sometimes you can't. There's
Mhm.
been this weird line. So then we all get split out within the music industry under like folk Americana and world music, when in fact it's not. It
Yeah.
doesn't fit there. And like with chant music, with Kundalini music, it doesn't fit there.
Mhm.
But White Sun did just win a Grammy for best new age album.
Mhm.
It's their second time winning.
Yeah.
And Sonata Carr performed at like, so it seems like Kundalini music has actually gotten more traction
Hmm.
than these other chant categories.
Yeah.
And
Interesting.
I think that's one of the reasons why I think that, Sean and Dave Stringer wanted to politic for making a name change, because new age music, that's like what that's been in the past, is like the genre of like ambient electron or ambient folk music or something like that,
Yeah.
like Todd Boston, for example. I don't
Hmm.
know if you know who he is.
Hmm.
So yes, it is. I do understand what you're talking about, and I think that make the new age category would be coming the being world uh, chant and what is it? What is it? Chant and kirtan.
Ambient New Age. Is that what you're talking about? The
Yeah,
category?
yeah. So that now that they included chant in there, that also like gives people like, Jai Uttal, Krishna Das, or White Sun more opportunity for their music to be nominated.
Mhm.
And I think that's a good thing that they were able to come together and reclassify the music to invite more people in the tent.
Yeah.
And your music, knowing that you don't know what genre it is, like that is actually a funny thing. Like people are like, what do we call this music? Like, is it like, I even say my label, it's like we support conscious music. And it's like, wait, first of all, that's, even knowing that I say that, the reason I say it is because the community has decided that. But to
Right.
think that any music is more conscious than the other is a statement that doesn't make any sense at all, because everything's consciousness. But it's just like a term that's been used. And the funny thing is, this past year during Spotify Wrapped, I don't know if you saw this, but the genre of our music was called high vibe.
Oh,
Did
no,
you
I
see
didn't
that?
notice that.
So
I
like,
totally, that's a great title. I'd love to be able to select that. Can I select that now?
so that's the thing, is I don't know if that's what it is, but the reason it's called high vibe is because what Nate did with High Vibe Records, that label that we're signed under, changed the
No.
ecosystem of this whole genre 100%.
Oh, that blows my mind. That's
So this
amazing.
label that we're like, it's cool to know that I'm part of a label that's literally changing the ecosystem of the marketplace that we're in. And I think I would be curious if, now that it's called high vibe music, is there a check mark now because it was called that by Spotify Wrapped? I don't know. And I think that
Love
it's
for there to be
going
one.
to
That
take
would be
more people to figure this out with me, because I don't have the time. But I
yeah.
love this stuff. I love talking about this stuff. This is the best.
Yeah, that's really cool. Wow. Um, Congratulations. Yeah,
It
that's
wasn't me. I mean, that's literally what that is it's congratulations to everybody
well,
for
it's
listening.
like, but you congratulations because there was a shift and you knew to be part of it,
You're
right?
a part of it.
Yeah, well, thank you.
It's like all I'm doing, like, if anything, I would say, yeah, like a quantumist like Nate Stein, congratulations to you. He's done so much work building it out, like week after week after week, releasing singles nonstop from artists all over the place, and like remixes. And, I really do believe that he has been a really helpful pioneer, um, guiding this medicine music into a more of a commercial, and not in a bad way, but more commercially viable. More artists are now going to make a living. Like,
Well, that's an interesting term, medicine music. And actually, I first heard that term reflected back to me when I was describing to somebody what I did. And they're like, oh, you make medicine music. And I'm like,
yeah,
I like that term. But that was the first time I heard it. It's a
yeah,
really interesting term because it's describing what the music does rather than what it sounds like,
right. That's right.
first of all. which is like totally brilliant, and also kind of takes into account that it is a different kind of music, that it's sort of created for a purpose rather than like, well, I guess all music is created for a purpose, but it has,
I think it has like, it has sacred chants. It has
yeah,
something sacred about it. Like it doesn't have to be in a language, but it's in the intention, you know. I feel like your music is medicine music too. I would call it chant music.
yeah. Well,
But
I'm
when you
doing
go
more
sit in
than just the chant
ceremony,
now. Yeah, so
what's that?
I'm doing some more like English language stuff now.
Okay.
I'm actually not
Yeah.
doing Kundalini yoga music anymore.
Okay.
So I've
Okay.
kind of, but I still do chants. But yeah, I mean, all of it's not different. Yeah.
And the reason that people call it medicine music is because it's the music people listen to when they're in ceremony.
Mm,
So it
mm,
doesn't have to be with plant entheogens. It could just be, ceremony around a fire.
right,
It's these chants. People are chanting in Garmuki. They're chanting in Sanskrit or Hebrew or Portuguese. You
right.
know, it really is. You're right. It's in the intention. That's what makes this genre so special, and it's diverse. There's so many genres.
Yeah.
Some of the genres I really don't like, but
Yeah. But to your
it's a
point,
beautiful
it's
thing.
sort of like the envelope of children's music
Yeah,
is, because it could sound like anything, but the intention is to deliver it to children. It could sound like anything, but the intention is to deliver it and for it to have some sort of healing or, you know, um, positive effect on somebody, right? Yeah.
yeah. I just think we're in a really exciting time with all this happening.
Yeah, for sure.
Like eh, spiritual practices are in all faiths. I personally haven't seen so many sound healing classes or gong baths or cacao ceremonies or like it's like it used to just be a Bay Area thing when I lived in Oakland. It was like we got together and we would dance, we'd have a cacao ceremony, and it was not like big yet, We were wearing tights, which
Mhm.
I don't wear tights anymore, thank God. But like, ecstatic dance was like underground. And now it's like
Yeah.
Nike's selling yoga mats now. It's like, you know what I mean? Like the world,
Yeah.
something we're in I think a very big moment, even though it's like not 1969 Summer of Love. I feel like we're actually in a moment spiritually where the world is being turned on. And this music, like it's all of a sudden, it's like we're in a really exciting time. And
Yeah.
I think people are gonna be saying to us in 20 years when wow, you were alive in 2020, you were alive in 2023, like wow, you went to Envison, or wow, you met White Sun. Oh my God. Like we're in a special time. So it's hard, and I think it's easy to forget that when we're dealing with all the day to day, but we take a look back and look about what's happening. It's like you can't deny the pivotal moment in history this is.
Yeah. I also appreciate how the work that actually was done in the 60s and 70s, that there seemed to have been like this huge download that they were receiving, right? There was this huge shift that was taking place, but there wasn't a way yet, because it was so new, I think, to integrate it into life. So it was just like, we have to do away with everything that isn't this, and we're going to live in communes, and we're going to just push everything away. And now it's sort of the time of like, we're bringing all that into daily life. We're gonna have lives that look, sort of normal. Like they're not going to be unrecognizable to people that are around us, but there's something different about these people. They're doing something differently. They've integrated, these principles.
You're working on it.
Yeah.
Right.
Integrating.
That's like the biggest piece, like I feel like for anyone in life. It's like, yeah, we could do the ceremonies, we can
Mm,
drink the ayahuasca or have these revelatory experiences. And even me as a human being, I know from like my biggest thing too, it's like, how do we take an experience that can like literally break us down and show us a new way? And then how do we take that into our daily lives and remember that
mm,
when we have a mortgage to pay and tours aren't happening like they used to, and you're juggling family life. There's like, how do you remember those big moments in the everyday? And that's the work.
Mm.
So, and while you're working, the coolest part of that is at any moment you can just go to Spotify and put on Porter and listen to her and get the medicine right there.
Yeah. The access is amazing, right?
Yeah.
So I know you have to go soon. So I
I
wanted,
just saw that actually. I got a text that they pushed back a bit. So I have
oh, great.
actually until 5:30.
Oh, cool.
So
Okay. Well, sweet. We can make up for our lost time then.
yeah.
Um, I love how that works out. I was listening to your songs on Spotify.
Hmm.
Spotify keeps coming up. And okay, so one of them, and oh gosh, I wish I had written it down when I listened to it, but the line was something like, please correct me. Don't let the world lock you out of your soul. Is that the line?
Yeah. Don't let the world
Right.
lock you out of your soul, and then don't
Oh,
let the world lock you out of your heart. Yeah, two
yeah.
different.
Oh, that's such a great line. Can you talk to me about that song and like what that with there was like an experience that, came that came from?
Yeah, so that song is a song called Rise that I released in 2018. It was on an album called Ascension. And that song came out of actually a coaching call with one of my spiritual teachers.
Mm.
You might know him. He used to work for Bhakti Fest as the MC. Shiva Bomb
Oh
is his
yeah, of
name.
course.
So I worked with Shiva for many years as my personal development, and like basically what I do, I also coach artists, helping them with spiritual practices and then building their business and these kinds of things. So we were in a session and I was in the middle of this songwriting moment, and this was pre-pandemic, but like there was just a moment where, I mean, I know for me, I was dealing with like a season of depression, and I was diagnosed as a child with depression, and my music has always been a way to. I was grateful as a youth to find solace in songwriting and transmutation of my pain into light. And when I was having this session with Shiva, he does this thing where he like becomes a channel. He'll just start talking, and like it's like honestly, it's like crazy things come through. But he literally said to me, Mikey, write this down. Um, you have to rise up. You can't let this world lock you out of your heart. You can't. And as he was saying that to me, I literally started like feeling like I was like hit, like I was like getting a darshan, like it literally felt like I was being, there was like some liquid coming to my body, and I was like given all like this song, and I got off the phone with him. Well, before that, he just said like so many people are struggling like right now. So many people are depressed. People are dying. People are committing suicide because they
Is
do
this
not.
during the pandemic or
This
before
is
it?
before the pandemic.
Yeah,
This
I
is
thought that's
20.
what you said, but okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So this is
This
even
is before
before.
that. This is before the pandemic. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah,
Okay.
for sure. I mean, pre-pandemic, we were just like talking about homeless people, also talking about the people on the street. You could
Mm.
hear it in the song, but like this is before we even knew the how deep the rabbit hole goes on desperation and what we witnessed in 2020. And that's when I wrote "We Are Safe." By the way, that the bio I got to update it. That was a couple years ago.
Oh.
But so the song, that's where it came from, and you know, we're living in a time where if we really allow and we just take a look at the world and we really open our eyes to all of the suffering happening in the world. Like if you really were to drive around Los Angeles and you really were every homeless person, you were to give them the time, and everybody on the street who were begging for change, and you were able to really go deep and talk to, like, I've had days like that where I've just stopped and talked to some of these individuals going through a hard time. Some of them are people a month ago had a house, something happened, and now they're on the street. And if you really allowed that, and you really like felt the weight of what's happening in Ukraine and what's happening in North Korea and what's happening in Russia and China and America with our youth, if you really could feel, and in Israel and Palestine, like if you could really feel that pain, it straight up, like, if how could you feel that pain and not allow it to lock you out of your heart? If you really feel all that, like, it consumes you. And it's not to say it's not to say that you shouldn't feel it and have the compassion. I mean, that's like the biggest spiritual teaching. It's like, can you be with the darkness? Can you just acknowledge that the depression is just as great as the joy? But maybe we can yearn for something higher. And so when I say in the course, you got to rise up. Oh, people think I'm saying whole. I don't know. It's funny. When you got to rise up. Oh, you got to stand up tall. Don't let this world lock you out of your soul. Don't let this world lock you out of your spiritual practice of your soul. Don't let them. But also, you as a human being, like, we can acknowledge the darkness, but we have to find community and rise up and do the inner work so we can feel the joy. It's work to feel the joy, to feel the gratitude, but also it's work to acknowledge the reality of the world and to still be able to dance and be joyful in that. And that's, your soul being the soul and your heart being literally like this, we need maintenance. We need daily maintenance. And I feel like that for my maintenance, for me is going outside, going on a hike. I get so much out of being outside. I know we find all these practices, we pray, I pray a lot, but one of my favorite things to do is get up on that stage, sing with people, or without the stage, to hear another song and to weave the vibrational medicine of our hearts. Like, that's why I feel like music is so important. It does things to us that no plant, no plant entheogen, they're powerful, but that medicine that exists in every profound moment exists in the music too. So that's a little bit about that lyric. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, that's really cool. I didn't even know that Shiva did that. I only know him as the man from Bhakti Fest. So that's really
That's
cool.
what Shiva did for many years. Yeah. Shiva was actually like his mentor was Rick Rubin.
Oh, okay. Remind me
I
who
mean,
that is. That rings a huge bell.
wow, Rick Rubin is like one of the most well-known producers of all time. Like, he's produced Ed Sheeran and Adele
Yes.
and
Yes,
uh,
I think I was watching an interview with him.
Run DMC. He found them. He
Oh, did
found
he, hold on, did he
Al
just write a book with
Cool.
like a white cover?
Yeah, that new book that came out. That's him.
Oh,
I mean,
he's brilliant. Gosh, there was
he
this
produced
white
Krishna
and blue.
Das.
Wish
He
what?
produced the Krishna Das record that got nominated for Grammy.
That I did
He's
not know.
produced like some of the most well-known records of all time. And the thing about Rick, because I've been like following his teachings for a long time, like, he doesn't know how to push a button. He's not well-trained musician. He just understands, like, he knows that he channeled his mediumship. He figured out that what he likes, people like. And so he learned how to trust his vessel and to guide artists to perform better than they ever have. And then he knows how to throw a Pokemon ball out and capture that Pokemon. He knows how to capture a moment and recreate it into something that every time you listen to it, you're deeply moved. That's what Rick does. He's a magician.
Hmm.
So Shiva, like that was his mentor. I know that they spoke over the years. Also, Shiva worked in the music industry, developing other artists before me.
Yeah.
And I've been gratefully blessed to have worked with him. And I still am reaping benefits. Like I don't see him very much anymore because I'm doing other things. But we're always still in the dojo talking, and I really do believe that like if you're an artist out there and you need support, like I don't even know if Shiva still does coaching, but like I'm a coach, like I'm down to support you. I take what he taught me, but find someone who can turn you on to the channel of your muse, of your connection, of your songwriting. Find someone who pushes your edge so that you can get out of your comfort zone, so that you can create something better than you ever have. And I really believe that the reason that I had the success of that song when it came out, it went viral. Like I put out a music video for it, and it was, got over 1 million plays, and it's what changed my life. But
it's a cool song.
It's all really because it's not because of the video was a good narrative, of course, but it's really in the songwriting and the messaging, and that every single one of us, we have that capacity to channel those messages. If we open up our space and we can chant or do what we got to do, those practices, God, Spirit's gonna deliver them to you when you're ready to receive. And then if I were you and you're a musician, and say you're listening to this, you're not even a musician yet, you just hear songs, get out that voice recorder and capture it. That's all you got to do. Just keep capturing your songs, and I swear it's like eventually one day, it's like you never know if that song touches one person, you did your job on planet Earth. One person. So you don't underestimate the power of the songs that come through. And please, if I were you, just capture them and share them as much as you can.
That's so funny that you are talking about this idea of channeling songs right now, because I just started doing this thing maybe like a month ago.
Yeah.
Had this inspiration. I'm like, I'm writing songs really quickly these days. And I'm not considering songs like verse, chorus, verse is sort of like a mantra in English, if the same thing repeated over and over again, it's a song kind of thing. Or it's a song, verse, chorus, verse, but whatever comes through. And I was like, it'd be really fun to see if I could write something for somebody else's process. Like, this is what I'm going through. I need an affirmation to sing to myself, kind of thing. So I started asking people to give me ideas, and I'm like actually really good at this. And people tell me, they're like, wow, that actually, the fact that you use that word, like that was really weird because that is meaningful to me. And I'm like, wow, that's so fun. Like, so I totally believe, I mean, I knew that songwriting was channeling before anyway, but it's I'm kind of experiencing it in like a new dimension right now. So
that's such a great project that you're doing that too, and that you're like honing on your mediumship your skills, that your psychic skills, like you're hearing words, right, that they're saying that have meaning to
I'm
them,
not
and you're
really
putting it
sure
in the
how it
song,
works.
right?
Yeah. Well, they come to me. I'm not hearing them as like their words, but then when I like, play it I like post it basically. I post it as a post, and then, I tag them in it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, is like you don't
Yeah.
hear them say those words, but that's the gift of your psychic ability. That's the gift of your mediumship. You were given those words because those words can have a direct impact with the person who asked you to write the song.
Right.
And what that does too is allows you to trust yourself as an artist. Because you're channeling, and that's such a beautiful thing that you're doing. That gives me an idea. Like, should I ask a couple friends of mine? I don't want to take your idea.
No,
That'll be a
please
fun creative
do. No,
project.
no, absolutely. It's not copyright or anything or TM or whatever. Yeah, no. I think it's a fun, it was a fun, what was like exercise. It's like a fun exercise because I've always written songs that I feel like are coming through for me, and the songs are sort of for me too, because I definitely like resonate with you know, with the things that I'm picking. But yeah, it's a different type of um exercise. Anyway, yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, I can't wait to, maybe I can give you a song and go write
Oh
it for
yeah, or
me.
an idea. Yeah, totally.
You know, also too, just so you know, like some artists, they do this, they do commission work where this could be like a side thing for you, where you could be
Oh,
like, hey, I'm writing songs for people, you know, it's this amount of money, and it could be a side hustle for you, you know.
that
So
that is yeah, that's a totally a fun idea. Yeah, I'll see where it goes. Um,
a friend of my mix is living now doing song commissions.
really? So like what's the idea there? Like he writes the song for somebody's wedding or like it's a present for somebody or doesn't matter.
Whatever they want, write about whatever. They're like, this is what I want the song to be about. Here's what it is, and then he records it and writes it and sends it to them and
That's
gets paid good money to do that.
that's really fun. Yeah, who knows?
I wish I was that. I wish I was that. Like, I don't know. I'm not too inspired by that for me
Yeah,
personally.
yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, I like to channel. I like to like sit there and like let it come through. You know, but it could also be. I mean, the only difference between that and what you're talking about is, you know, the accepting money for it. You know, obviously, but
Right,
that
right,
puts pressure. I feel like I could put pressure.
right. Yeah, I think it's also like when you do a commission song, then you relinquish the ownership of it as well, right?
Not necessarily.
No.
No,
Okay, so I
not
guess you can do
necessarily.
it however you want.
But you're right. Yeah. I mean, it just depends on the terms that you know.
Yeah.
But yeah,
No, I mean not that that's a bad thing. It's just it's a different mind frame to get into. It's like,
yeah, maybe they own it, but you own the songwriting.
hmm,
I don't know. There's just different ways to split it. It's like,
yeah, yeah.
you know, for me, it's like my label. I don't own any of the songwriting or the master. I own the song for a certain term, and I'm
Oh,
the
okay.
distributor. So
Okay.
there's different ways people do agreements. Like
Yeah, yeah.
you as an artist can write any agreement that you want. You know, it just takes two parties or three parties, whoever's involved to agree to it. You know, but you can put whatever you want in that contract. You just have to make sure that they agree to it. You
Totally.
know,
Well, it seems like your forte is, I mean, you just on this podcast, you have amplified the voices of so many different individuals. It seems like you're very enthusiastic about the people that you help and that help you. So I'm sure they appreciate that a lot. And how perfect that you have a label, which is basically the what industrial um, engine for that. So
yeah, yeah. I think for me, I'm just like in a moment in my life where I just want to be in Seva. You know, I mean, I it's definitely a business too, but I feel like as a human being, I feel so. I love playing my music, but I get so much excitement about supporting those who want to share their songs as well.
well, thank you so much for doing this, and thank you for excusing my delay in our start. I'm glad we got to make it up. Do you want to share with people how they can find out more about you, about your label, about what you're up to? And I'll have this linked in the show notes so that you can.
Yeah. So y'all can check out my music. I'm on all the different streaming services, Spotify, Apple Music, Bandcamp, YouTube. Um, check out my Instagram page, Instagram / Mikey Pauker, and then the same for my record label, Instagram.com/ Beautiful Way Records. I have beautifulwayrecords.com, MikeyPauker.com. You know, I'm on my socials a lot. I'm on my Facebook a lot. I have a website, email list, all that stuff. And upcoming things, let's see. You know, the label, we got new music coming out. My music, Anthos music tomorrow. I have one of my new singles coming out this month talking about my relationship with God. It's like a medicine Jewish song, medicine song. And I'm also going on tour I mean, it'll be announced by the time this comes out. Called the Optimistic, OPTIMYSTIC, like a mystic. I'm releasing a couple songs in the spring with my friend Cass Haley. This is his company. His hat says "More Music, More Family." He's like a big reggae artist. And he's going out on tour, and he produced and co-wrote a couple songs that are coming out in April and May on my label with him. One of those songs is called Optimistic. So I'm kind of calling the tour based on this song. And so check out my tours coming up. I'm doing like a bunch of California dates. And also, if you haven't checked it out, the Jewish Music Petition, I'll give you the link for that, to sign it, Jewish or non-Jewish. And yeah, I'd love to stay in touch with you all. I'll be touring a lot. And if you're, listening to this and you're excited about any of these things, or if you want me to come and play at a festival or a club in your town, like, get in touch. I'm very accessible, and yeah, I'd love to see you. I'd love to meet you. And thanks so much for having me here. I really appreciate it. Looking forward to getting to hear and see this podcast.
Yeah, it's been my pleasure. Just also, if people want to contact you about the coaching, would that also be on your website?
It's not on the Beautiful Way Records website, because I don't have a website for it. I just kind of do it through word of mouth.
Maybe contact.
But if people do, you can email me, Mikey@MikeyPauker.com. And if you're an artist and you want to work with me, I'd love to chat with you and see if it's a good fit.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Mikey. It was so great to get to chat with you. Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye. Thanks for tuning into the podcast, y'all. Please like, subscribe, rate, comment, whatever the platform you listen to podcasts on offers you, as a way to let its algorithm know that you're enjoying these episodes. That really helps. Also, there's some links in the podcast description notes that allow you to support the podcast in a way that benefits you and us. So please check those out. And if you'd like to stay in touch with me, you can sign up for my mailing list at portersinger.com. We'll see you in the next episode. Bye.